Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Christina, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing a May homeschool and life recap and a June homeschool and life plans and goals video. There is noise in the background because my 16-year-old is doing the dishes and he needs to sweep the floor, and I'm going to try to make this video as concise as possible because I only have like 20 minutes before I have to pick up my son from basketball. But this is my only window of time before we go on our first trip of June, which is one of the things you're going to hear about in this video is lots of travel and travel schooling coming up in the month of June. May was a really great month. We did not have a ton of travel as a family. We did go on like our wild and free field trips and exploring locally as a family, but nothing as far as like staying overnight or going anywhere else. June is going to be a big travel month for us, but I will talk about that a little bit later in the video. But to keep with talking about May, we continued with some of the things that we have been doing for a while or some things that we started up in the last month or so. And so we did finally finish Health and the Physical Body by The Good and the Beautiful. We really enjoyed this unit. Although it was only 14 lessons, we only did it once or twice a week. Maybe once or twice we did it 3 times a week, but we definitely enjoyed it. We learned a lot. It was a great overview of the body systems, and so I definitely recommend that if you're looking for something like that. I did it with all of my kids together, even though I think it says it's for like 3rd through 8th, I want to say. I learned things in it, so I take those age ranges very loosely. I'm looking at my May wish list, which I did not put a ton of stuff on there, so I did put in like the Flower Farm book for Gia from 1,000 Hours Outside. That was in a previous bundle. It's all about flower farming. And so we did plant some flowers. That's one thing we did in May is lots of gardening. We started a lot of things from seed in our garden, both herbs and vegetables and flowers. Also flowers out front, flowers in the back. So we're continuing to learn more about gardening and growing flowers and all of that. I do have down here the watercolor book for Gia from Brighter Day Press. I did get her the watercolor, nature watercoloring. There's like a few different watercoloring courses from them. Like we did the Christmas and winter one during Christmas time. And I got this one specifically for her. I did get it in print because it has the like watercolor paper right in the workbook with the sketch. So all you're working on is the watercoloring. So we haven't started that yet, but I am really excited for her to get a chance to use that. It's something just for her that I may do along with her, but I think it's cool that it's something that she can like self-select and use. So I'll probably do it like the first time with her and just to get her started on it. And then it's something that she can use on her own when she wants to. I did have down finish the long winter. We have not finished the long winter. Ironically enough, it is taking us a really long time to get through the long winter. Like we're reading it at least a few times a week, but it is a long book. And I remember telling the kids, I feel like it's probably by design that it feels long because it goes along with the idea of like how they felt about how long the winter felt. It definitely feels like that reading the book. So we're still reading that, and we are in June, or just about June at this point while I'm reading the video, or while I'm filming this video, but we're still reading it. It is interesting. We're learning a lot about that time period. That's really one of the reasons why I like Little House. It is one of our favorite series, and we're going to continue with it as far as I know at this point. Print comic arts for Jackson. So Thistles and Biscuits, which I used to talk about all the time, which is one of my favorite small curriculum creators, recently came out with a comic arts curriculum, which is incredible. However, I still haven't printed it yet. And I feel bad because I liked the idea of having like an artistic thing that was specifically geared towards different kids and their particular interests. And so I thought the comic arts would be really great for my 12-year-old who's about to be 13 because he's really interested. He's definitely an artist and is interested in creating comics. He doesn't really read a lot of comics, which is kind of the funny part, but he does like draw. That is one of the styles he likes drawing in. He has a lot of different styles, but we will be using that. I'm also excited because since I've gotten that, they just came out with a watercoloring course that is for ages 12 and up and adults. So I'm definitely going to be checking out that course personally. And then for my older two, if they're interested, and then I'll see if possibly after my 8-year-old finishes her little watercolor course on her own, if she's ready for that next level, even though she's only going to be 9 by the time probably she's done with that. She's 8 turning 9 soon. So I will keep you posted on that, but I will link Thistles and Biscuits down below because they have so many amazing resources, especially for the arts, for country studies, music, so many good things. Betsy and her husband are both super talented artists, and they come together to create this curriculum that has original watercolor illustrations by them. If you are a visual person or your kids are, definitely check out Thistles and Biscuits. It's amazing content too. It's wonderful content, but it's also very visually beautiful. So those are the only things that I had on my list, which is kind of interesting because I had a lot more things in my mind that I wanted to get to. So I'll just share randomly because I need, instead of trying to organize my thoughts, I need to just rapid fire at you guys. So I apologize. One book that we are reading and loving is the Answers book for teens. My 12 and 16-year-old are loving this. And I had shared that we started the regular Answers book, which is like the adult version. And even I was like, this is a lot of information. So maybe later, maybe after this one, we'll revisit it. Or maybe we'll go through this whole series and then go to that one is kind of more what I'm thinking. But this is excellent. Like way easier to digest. It's visually appealing, super interesting, and it leaves you wanting more as opposed to being like, whoa, I can't digest all this information. So love this. I'm going to link Christian book. If you missed it, I now have a Christian book storefront on the Christian book website, which is super exciting. It's almost like an Amazon storefront, but for Christian books. So I get asked all the time about like my favorite books. How do I choose books? What books do I allow into our home? Which do I allow my kids to read? What are my standards for them? I get asked that a ton because it's something that I talk about fairly often. I am very particular about the type of media they're consuming, including books. And so on my Christian book storefront, you will find tons of books that I have personally selected from Christian book. And not only for them, all different aged kids, but there's some curriculum on there. There are all of my favorite books for moms that I've read, or there might be a couple on there that are on like my to be read list. So definitely check that out. That is linked in the description box below, but I highly recommend this for preteens and teens. It is perfect. Along those same lines, I recently listened to a podcast with them. If you follow Heidi Lee Anderson on Instagram or This Mother Hen, she has a podcast called Trade a Lie for the Truth, and she tackles a different like cultural lie with the truth of the Word of God in each podcast. And the one that we just listened to was all about the lie, all religions lead to the same God. And so I listened to this with my 12 and 16-year-olds, and it was really, really interesting. And it paired so beautifully with this. So apologetics continues to be a focus for us in our homeschool for all of my kids at their own individual levels, but especially for my older 2 boys, really equipping them to be able to stand against cultural lies in their own minds and hearts and spirits, but also in conversations with other believers and unbelievers. So it's been really, really rich. So I'll try to remember to link that podcast down below because I highly recommend it for moms, but then you may come across certain episodes that you're like, I definitely want to listen to this with my older kids. So definitely check that out. We are still not done with the Survive Off the Land unit from Campfire Curriculums, which is hysterical because of the fact that it's only 4 lessons. But I have shared that each of those 4 lessons is probably like the length of 4 lessons. I just need to print lesson 3. Like we've only done through lesson 2. We really liked it, but we kind of do this if you haven't noticed. Like we'll sometimes like pause on something, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not intentionally, and then we'll pick it back up. So I do plan to pick it back up. I don't know if we'll pick it up in the month of June. I'm gonna try. Probably. We have so much travel that I'm not really gonna put a ton of things on like my to-do list for the month of June. What else? We are almost halfway through our Ancient Civilizations from Gather Round Homeschool. We're liking it, we're enjoying it. We're also reading the book Boy of the Pyramids just to like as a read aloud to pair with it, and that's been really interesting. I'm also doing my pond exploration family study with my kids loosely. If you saw my video last week, it was all about the summer mega bundle. The summer mega bundle is going on for a few more days, so I definitely recommend checking that out. We'll also be doing some of the ocean unit studies that are in there because we're heading to the ocean this month. That's one of our trips. We'll be going to the ocean, and so we're going to do some of those unit studies. So lots of learning that just goes along with the things that we're going to be doing in the month of June is kind of going to be the vibe. So I'll show you, actually, I haven't done a notebooking update in a long time, and I don't know if and when I'll get to do like a full notebooking video, and it's been a while. So as a way to give you just like a little sample of the pond unit study that I created that is in the summer mega bundle, I'll show you the page that my 5-year-old did in his notebook. So I also shared on Instagram recently that this is my new favorite notebook. This is from Target. The one I used to get was also by the same brand, Mondo Llama, but it was 8.5 by 11, and it was not like the thick watercolor paper. So I like that this is 9 by 12, and I like that this is the thicker watercolor paper. So I think we're gonna stick with these. These first 2 pages are actually pages from my Slow Down guide, which is now available on Etsy. It was in a couple of bundles, but now you can get my full Slow Down guide on Etsy down in the description box below, and I will throw in a discount code for you guys down there. So check that out. But this was from like the butterfly lesson. So he cut and pasted the life cycle. He watercolored the lowercase b. He watercolored a butterfly. I just think he did such an adorable job for 5 years old. Like, he was super into it. And then I guess that was it for the butterfly lesson. And then this was the first pond notebooking page that we did. So while this isn't as specifically a notebooking guide like the Slow Down guide is, or my Burgess Bird Book for Children guide, it does have notebooking elements to it, or like you could choose to notebook or not, for example. And I'll try to show you a few more pages in here if I have time before I have to go get my son. But I wanted a way to include notebooking, since notebooking is something that we like to do. He had this cutout of a pond, so he cut and pasted that in, and then pasted in some creatures from the pond, because one of the things that we touch on in the pond exploration guide is fauna and flora of the pond ecosystem. And then he had the letters from the word pond to cut and paste. So I scrambled them up and then had him put them in order. And then there's like the tracing of the upper and lowercase. So there's like the letter formation practice, but then also like the word formation practice and like the nature study aspect. And then he chose to paint, or not paint, use colored pencils to create a sunset, which I think was really sweet. And he likes to make these pop-ups. If you've seen me, I actually do have a notebooking highlight on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram page, to my highlights, there is a notebooking highlight there if you want to see more on notebooking. And then I think there are 2 notebooking videos here on YouTube if you go back and try to find them. So that was really cute that he's sticking with his little pop-ups that he's doing. So that's just one small example of this pond exploration guide. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I do have that video that walks through it. But for example, like you'll see some crossover with my Slow Down guide. Like this page would look very similar to you if you have my Slow Down guide. So it pairs really well with the Slow Down guide. Or if you don't want to do the Slow Down guide, but you're interested in just a pond study, it has things like this for the younger ones, but this is not just for the younger ones. It is for all ages. But for the younger ones, I feel like having more of like a ready-made activity for them as opposed to like them showing their learning from scratch, it can be a little bit easier for them. So we'll do a little bit more from that pond exploration guide. I did start this preschool course book with both my 4 and 5-year-olds. And although I love printables for them, love learning through play, I love my learning shelf and the things that I've done in my playroom for letter of the week and things like that. If you've seen those videos in the past, still love that. But when we're traveling a lot, even though we learn a lot just naturally, I did want to have something where they're still touching on their letters and numbers and things that doesn't require a lot from me when I'm already packing for a family of 7. So we got a little bit of a start on this so that I can take this with us on all of our travels and they can still get in. I mean, it's like a 10-minute lesson. We can totally do that while we're traveling. So I did start this from them and they really like it. I will link The Good and the Beautiful down below because we are using a lot of their preschool resources and planning to use some of their kindergarten resources as well. I actually have a video coming out all about that in a few days. So be on the lookout for that if you're interested in that. Another thing that we are going to be starting up in June, which it seems like we're actually doing a lot of things in June. but like loosely, right? Like, yeah, you guys know how I roll by now. This is brand new for us and something I'm super excited about. This is from Homeschool Languages. This is an open and go language curriculum in a box. And it is fun and interesting, which is the only way that we are actually going to learn a second language. I was going to do Spanish because I feel like it's the most like useful, or like, I don't know, like it makes the most sense, but I chose Italian because we're Italian and I just feel like I've always wanted to learn Italian, so it was kind of selfish, to be honest. But maybe we'll end up doing Spanish too, who knows, because there's great crossover in those Romance languages. So you have like this quick guide that explains exactly how to do it. This little puppet. So I know that this is going to engage my 4 and my 5 and my 8-year-olds, and my 12 and my 16-year-olds are just going to be excited to learn Italian. So they're going to roll with it. But there's this cute little puppet, which I love that. There's this little blow up globe ball. So there must be like fun games and stuff in here. I haven't looked at this a ton, but it is totally through play. So that is kind of what drew me to be like, yes, this is the thing I want to try. They reached out to me. So many companies reach out to me and I decline most of them politely. But when they reached out, I was like, yes, actually, I would like to try that. So there's like these little cards in here. There's a bunch of those. There are these little books. Look how cute these are. They're like precious. So I'm really excited to start this. You know, this is not something we're going to bring with us when we're traveling, but this would be a cool thing to do on like the days that we're home and we're just settling back in. What else is in here? There's this little box. Let's see. This looks like a game because there are game pieces in here. Tons of different like flashcard thingies. A little die. More little flashcards. So I love that this looks super interactive. There's a game board here. And this looks like this must, okay, so this is like the main curriculum guide. So let me know, guys, if you want to see a flip through of this, because if you do, I will totally do a flip through on a day when I have more time. But just like a quick little flip through here. I am super excited to dive into this. Like I want to do a flip through of this because I haven't yet. So let me know if you're interested in a flip through. Otherwise, I will link them down in the description box below. If you're interested, they have a bunch of different languages that you can choose from. Or if you're just interested in learning more about it, because I'm giving you just like a quick peek of it. But I will update you guys as we use it and let you know what I think of it and all of those good things. So a couple more things I'll share from May. So May, I got to go to a creators retreat in Maine, which was incredible. It was hosted by 2 of like, in my opinion, the best Airbnb or short-term rental content creators, like photographers and videographers. They were amazing hosts. I got to meet other really talented creators in that industry: photography, videography, short-term rentals, outdoor photography, brand photography, all of the things. It was an incredible weekend. I've shared about it a ton on Instagram. So there's like another highlight there on my Instagram if you're interested in that. Maybe you're a content creator or maybe you just find it interesting. So you can go check that out. But it was incredible. We got to shoot 2 different properties in Maine by Sunday River. And it was just a really incredible experience. And I'm super inspired as we go into June and we have 5 Airbnbs that we're visiting in 4 weeks and we're hitting 3 states. So it is going to be a travel schooling kind of month. So I'm excited to implement a lot of the things that I learned and share all of those properties with you. So I'm really excited. We stayed at 2 amazing places in Maine. So if you're interested in staying in Maine, I will link those down in the description box below, but they were beautiful properties. The Maine A-frame and then this other cabin, right? Like it's a ski in, ski out cabin, which is so cool. I've always wanted to do that. So like I'm gonna either have to go back there or somewhere similar in the winter because I've always wanted to do that. I'm sure there are things. Oh, okay. The Fill Your Cup bundle. That is something that has been filling my cup. And this is a bundle for moms, specifically homeschool moms, but there's a ton in there for any mom. And I did do a video about this and I've been sharing it on Instagram, but I just want to mention it in case you've missed it because it has been such a blessing. It is all resources just for moms to fill our cups, to encourage us, to inspire us, to give us skills and strategies to just thrive in our homeschools and in our homemaking and as moms. So I will link that down in the description box below if that's something that might be of interest to you. I want to also remind you about Made to Homeschool in that same vein of like being encouraged by other homeschool moms and finding community and filling your cup. Made to Homeschool, if you haven't heard me talk about it, is an online homeschool community that is curated by homeschool mom content creators. So you'll find printables, articles and videos, and there are live workshops and live meetups and circles, which are like these little micro communities within the larger community that are about more specific things. So you can get a 7-day free trial of that if you're like not sure if it's a good value. It's an amazing value. But if you think that like you're afraid you won't utilize it or whatever, you can try the 7-day free trial. And if you don't love it for whatever reason, or if it's not a great fit, you can just cancel it before you are charged. So I will link that down in the description box below. And if I forget anything, maybe I'll put it in the description box because I have to go pick up my son from basketball practice now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you have any questions. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, introduce yourself in the comments below. I hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. And until next time, stay rooted.